There are moments in life when change begins quietly, long before we fully recognize it. Often, the biggest turning points start the moment you stop abandoning yourself just to keep others comfortable, approved, or unchallenged. Choosing your own peace, setting boundaries, walking away from draining situations, or simply deciding that you deserve better can gradually reshape the entire direction of your life. At first, these decisions can feel small, even uncertain, but over time they start to break patterns that once kept you emotionally tired, overlooked, or stuck in cycles that no longer support who you are becoming. What can feel like sudden change is usually the result of many quiet inner shifts finally becoming visible. When you begin to heal, build confidence, and reconnect with your own sense of worth, even long-standing dynamics naturally start to shift. People who were used to you over-giving, over-explaining, or over-adapting may react with surprise when you no longer respond in the same way. Sometimes, that shift also brings clarity about which connections were healthy and which ones relied more on imbalance than genuine care. Still, it's important to stay grounded and not drift into the idea that invisible forces or hidden control are shaping your life behind the scenes. In reality, your direction changes because you change. Your choices, your boundaries, and the way you see yourself begin to evolve. It cracked open truths that were buried under years of manipulation and silence. People who were smiling at you while plotting behind your back, they've been exposed. The person who pretended to be loyal but never wanted to see your eyes, their mask is falling off. The one who acted like your supporter but secretly hoped you would fail, they're losing their grip. And tomorrow, when the final piece drops, every one of them will be forced to face the consequences of what they've done to you. Now listen closely, because this is the part where everything shifts. The universe didn't bring you here to suffer, to break, or to be ignored. It brought you here to witness the collapse of a system that was never built for you. You didn't ruin anything. Your decision to walk away, your silence, your refusal to repeat old patterns, that is what triggered the end. Do you understand how powerful that is? Your strength, quiet, unpraised, misunderstood, became the earthquake that shook the ground under those who underestimated you. Tomorrow ends their story of control, not your story of becoming. Tomorrow ends the chapter of you being dimmed, not the chapter of you rising. The universe has already chosen the side, and it's yours. But the biggest twist still remains. Someone you never expected has been watching this unfold from the shadows, not with malice, but with awe. They've seen you grow through phases you thought no one noticed. They've witnessed your resilience even when you believed you were invisible. And tomorrow, when everything falls apart for those who worked against you, this person steps forward, not to save you, but to stand beside you as the new chapter starts. Your action, whatever you did, sent a signal straight into their heart. They realized they were wrong to doubt you, wrong to stay silent, wrong to think you were replaceable. And now, because tomorrow breaks the old storyline, they can finally step into the new one with you. And my beloved child, this is only the beginning. The ending tomorrow is dramatic, breathtaking, and irreversible, not because you are being punished, but because you are being released. Pay attention to everything. Watch how people behave. Watch who panics. Watch who avoids you. Watch who suddenly reappears. The truth will not whisper anymore. It will strike like lightning. The world you knew today will not be the same tomorrow. And whether they are ready or not, the final moment is already counting down because of what you've done. If you wish to express your support further, you have the option to give super thanks with contributions of up to $20. My beloved child, before we go any deeper, breathe slowly and stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal will shift something inside you. The moment you pressed play today, a door opened, one that many forces tried to keep hidden from you. But now that you're here, nothing can stop what must be said. And listen carefully. There are moments in life that feel like endings, not because something dramatic happens overnight, but because internal dynamics finally shift. When you stop reacting the same way you used to, when you no longer over-explain, chase clarity from people who avoid it, or participate in patterns that drain you, relationships naturally start to feel different. What once relied on emotional repetition begins to lose its hold. From the outside, that kind of change can be unsettling for others, especially if they were used to a version of you that tolerated imbalance or stayed present even when things didn't feel fair. But from your side, it often feels quieter than it looks, less like a confrontation and more like a slow return to yourself. Distance in that sense isn't punishment, it's realignment. It's what happens when you stop abandoning your own emotional boundaries just to keep situations intact. Sometimes people do reflect only after space is created, not because they are suddenly losing control, but because absence naturally brings clarity. When familiar emotional patterns stop playing out, people are forced to see the situation without the comfort of assumption or expectation. That reflection can lead to regret, understanding, or simply awareness of what has changed. They feel an urgency rising inside them, a desperate pull to step into your life before they lose the chance forever. Your energy changed, and it sent out a signal louder than words. You are no longer available for half-truths, broken promises, or temporary connections. You have transformed. And this transformation is what ends the old timeline. Tomorrow. Stay with me. Don't look away. Because here is where everything gets shocking. Someone you trusted, someone who pretended to cheer for you, is secretly panicking right now. They thought your downfall was guaranteed. They thought your silence meant defeat. But the moment you stopped reacting, the moment you stopped explaining yourself, the moment you stopped chasing, everything they planned began collapsing. They tried to rewrite your story, but destiny refused to follow their script. Tomorrow exposes them. Tomorrow breaks the mask they've worn for months, maybe years. And the most unexpected part? They never thought you'd walk away. They never thought you'd gain strength. They never thought you'd rise. But you did. Now hold still, my beloved child, because we're entering the moment where everything accelerates. Someone is going to try to reach you, maybe through a message, maybe through a sudden apology, maybe through a long hidden confession, because they feel the end of the old cycle approaching like a storm. They don't want to lose you. They don't want to watch you step into a world that no longer fits. But the universe isn't waiting for them to make a choice. Tomorrow arrives whether they are brave or not, whether they admit the truth or keep running from it. Your transformation is already sealed, and the people connected to you must either evolve with you or fall away. And hear me one last time. Stay here, stay close, stay tuned. You are in the center of a massive shift that others can sense before you can see it. And tomorrow, the end that's coming, is not destruction. It is correction. It is alignment. It is the collapse of the version of you that accepted less than you deserved. Whatever you did, even if it felt small, even if it felt like nothing, it was the key that unlocked fate. That is why emotions are rising. That is why people are acting strange. That is why energy feels heavy. It is all reorganizing around the new you. As this awareness develops, relationships naturally begin to adjust. Some connections may feel different simply because the old dynamic no longer fits. People who were used to a certain level of access or emotional flexibility from you might need time to adapt to the fact that you are no longer abandoning your own needs to maintain harmony. This can create discomfort, not necessarily because anything is wrong, but because patterns have changed. In many cases, what looked like being taken for granted was actually just an imbalance that went unspoken for a long time. It's also common during these transitions for reflection to happen on both sides. You may look back and recognize where you gave too much, stayed too long, or ignored your own limits. Others may also reflect on how they responded to you, sometimes with clarity they didn't have in the moment. But the most important part of this process is that your growth cannot depend on someone else's realization. Waiting for validation from others can keep you emotionally tied to situations you are trying to move beyond. Something in you elevated, matured, awakened, and they felt the shift instantly. Suddenly, they fear being replaced. They fear someone else recognizing your worth before they can step forward. And tomorrow, when the old storyline ends, they'll be forced to confront their own hesitation. My beloved child, what you triggered isn't small. You shifted timelines. You ended soul contracts. You outgrew people who were never meant to carry you into your destiny. And that's why everything feels intense right now. It's why old memories are resurfacing, why unexpected people are thinking about you, why your intuition feels louder. You're standing on the threshold of a major ending. But endings aren't punishments. They're promotions disguised as closure. The universe isn't taking anything from you. It's removing what can't survive the version of you that emerges tomorrow. And here comes the twist you weren't ready for. Someone who watched you from a distance, someone who stayed silent for reasons they couldn't explain, is about to make a decision that changes everything. They've been fighting their own fears, their own insecurities, their own assumptions about you. But when the final moment unfolds tomorrow, they will no longer be able to stay quiet. They will no longer hold back the truth that's been burning inside them. Your energy is pulling confessions out of people who never had the courage to speak before. And this time, silence isn't an option for them. Stay with me. Don't let your mind wander. Because here is the real core of what tomorrow ends. The version of you that survived out of habit. The version of you that carried others while empty. The version of you that stayed loyal to people who didn't deserve access to your light. That version dissolves at sunrise. You're stepping into a frequency where you cannot be ignored, where you cannot be replaced, where you cannot be mistreated and still stay silent. And everyone connected to you can feel that awakening, even if they can't explain it. Tomorrow ends the cycle, but today you feel the build-up. My beloved child, stay with me now, because the moment you've stepped into is heavier, sharper, and more electrifying than anything you've experienced so far. The energy around you has become so charged that people connected to you can sense the shift without ever hearing your voice. Someone who once believed they had endless time with you is suddenly realizing that tomorrow might remove every chance they thought was guaranteed. They feel the door closing, and they know they caused it. What they don't know is that your silence didn't break anything, it revealed everything. And tomorrow, the very foundation they stood on crumbles. Not because destiny is cruel, but because fate refuses to let them block your eyes any longer. Something inside you awakened so deeply that even those who tried to pretend they didn't care can no longer hide their reactions. Their heartbeats change when they think of you. Their nights stretch into long, anxious hours. Their mind keeps replaying moments they took for granted. You have become the reminder of everything they mishandled, misjudged, and misunderstood. And tomorrow, that truth becomes undeniable. Whether they admit it or not, your transformation triggered a collapse in every illusion they built around you. You no longer fit the role they assigned you. Quiet, patient, waiting. That version of you is gone, and the ending that arrives tomorrow forces them to face the reality they avoided for too long. But let me reveal what sits behind the scenes. Someone else, someone with a connection to you that goes deeper than they dared to acknowledge, is feeling the shift even stronger. They are realizing that they might lose the chance to ever tell you what they have kept locked inside. Their feelings, once buried under fear and hesitation, are pushing to the surface with an urgency they cannot control. They sense the timeline splitting. They sense that tomorrow closes the door on their silence. They sense that if they don't step forward now, someone else will. And this fear, this sudden clarity, is pushing them into a state of awakening they never expected. Your evolution is pulling truth out of them like gravity. My beloved child, listen closely. The end that arrives tomorrow is not random. It is the final separation between what was draining your spirit and what is meant to carry you into your destiny. People who benefited from your softness will feel consequences. People who lied to you will feel exposed. People who hid their intentions will be forced to reveal themselves. And the ones who truly value you will finally understand why they were drawn to you in the first place. Tomorrow, all masks fall. Tomorrow, all hidden motives come into the light. Tomorrow, the cycle that once trapped you breaks with a force that can no longer be ignored. And now comes the most shocking part. The universe is preparing a moment where someone who walked away, someone who doubted you, someone who failed to appreciate you, will be confronted by a reality they cannot escape anymore. They will see that losing you doesn't just hurt, it changes everything about the direction of their life. Your absence will speak louder than your presence ever did, and tomorrow, the final ending that unfolds will not be the end of your story, it will be the end of every story that tried to dim you. The world around you is rearranging itself, and once the sun rises, nothing that held you back will remain standing. My beloved child, stay right here with me, because what I'm about to reveal is the sharpest, most intense turning point of everything you've experienced so far. The air around you right now isn't ordinary. It's thick, charged, trembling with endings that cannot be delayed anymore. Tomorrow isn't creeping toward you. It's rushing in like a storm that refuses to be stopped, and the people connected to you feel it in their bones. They're restless, they're anxious, they're replaying moments they thought you'd never walk away from, but you did. And that one quiet action, one decision rooted in exhaustion and truth, is the reason everything ends tomorrow. Let me take you deeper. In that shift, some people may begin to reflect more honestly on how they showed up. They might revisit conversations, memories, or moments they previously overlooked, realizing they didn't always respond with the same care or consistency you offered them. But your growth isn't meant to revolve around being missed or regretted. It is rooted in something more important, finally recognizing that your emotional well-being deserves equal priority. As you continue to grow, you may notice changes in how certain people interact with you. Some may become more direct or intentional because they sense you are no longer available in the same automatic way. Others may quietly adjust to the fact that you are becoming more grounded, more self-aware, and less willing to stay in uncertainty just to maintain connection. This doesn't mean you have become distant or hardened. It simply reflects a healthier understanding of your limits and needs. Growth often brings natural distance from environments or dynamics that once felt familiar but no longer align with who you are becoming. That distance can feel uncomfortable at first, especially when it involves people or patterns tied to your past. But it is also where clarity begins to form. You are not erasing what came before. You are simply no longer willing to repeat cycles that diminish your sense of self. because the truth they hid from you is about to surface in a way they cannot control. They feel exposed. They feel the energetic pressure building around them. Their lies, their manipulation, their intentions, all of it dissolves tomorrow. They can't stop it anymore. The universe has already stamped the ending, and their role in your life expires with the sunrise. They don't fear losing you. They fear you finally seeing who they really are. And here is the final twist for this moment. Tomorrow's ending is also someone else's beginning. Someone who truly cares for you. Someone who has been silently protecting you. Someone who has been waiting for the right time. Finds their courage because the old cycle ends. They couldn't step in before. They couldn't speak before. They couldn't reveal themselves before. But once the old energy collapses, they no longer hesitate. They no longer fear your rejection. They no longer doubt your path. The transformation you triggered forces them to rise to your level. Tomorrow doesn't end you. Tomorrow ends everything that was never worthy of you. My beloved child, stay with me now, because what I am about to reveal will pull you straight into the unfolding around you. The closer tomorrow gets, the more violently the old energies are shaking. People who once believed they understood you are realizing they never even scratched the surface. And the person who took your silence lightly is now drowning in the heaviness of it. They can't sleep. They can't think straight. Something in their spirit knows that tomorrow erases the space they once occupied in your life. And the worst part for them, you didn't punish them. You simply evolved so far, so fast, that they can't catch up anymore. Let me draw you into the truth. Your withdrawal wasn't an act of weakness. It was the moment the universe snapped the final thread, tying you to people who refused to value you. The very second you stopped pouring into situations that drained you, a collapse began behind the scenes. They felt it instantly. They didn't show it, but they felt it. The energy shifted. Their confidence shook. The arrogance they carried cracked. Now, as the countdown to tomorrow tightens, they're realizing something brutal. They have no power left over you. And when the clock resets tomorrow, the connection you once held together dissolves completely. As people grow emotionally, they often reach a point where avoidance no longer works the same way. Feelings they once pushed aside become harder to ignore, and decisions they delayed start asking for attention. At the same time, you begin to see your relationships with more balance. Some people in your life may genuinely care but struggle to understand your growth, while others may have been more aligned with older versions of you, rather than who you are becoming now. This doesn't mean there is hidden intention or dramatic conflict beneath everything. It usually just means that change has naturally reshaped the dynamic. What truly shifts during personal growth is not other people's reactions in some mysterious way, but your own standards. You start recognizing when something drains you, when communication feels unclear, and when a connection no longer supports your peace. That recognition slowly changes how you show up. You speak more honestly, set boundaries more firmly, and stop overextending yourself just to maintain comfort for others. And as your behavior changes, your environment naturally responds to it. Some relationships become stronger through that clarity, while others fade simply because they were never built on mutual understanding in the first place. The important part is not to get lost in interpreting what others might be thinking or feeling about your transformation. That can become a distraction from the real work, which is learning how to stay grounded in yourself. Growth is not about becoming distant, superior, or untouchable. It's about becoming more honest with your own needs and less willing to abandon your peace for approval or acceptance. When you reach that point, life doesn't necessarily become perfect, but it does become more intentional, and the relationships that remain tend to feel more real, stable, and mutual.